We're going to take a look at a beautiful tune. This is, of course, It Was a Very Good Year, made really popular in 1965 by Frank Sinatra. Now, the Sinatra version is heavily orchestrated, and most of my guitar students and players are not going to be able to do everything the orchestra did. So we're going to take a look more. We're going to talk about that a little bit as this lesson goes on, but we're mostly going to take a look at the way it was originally done in 1961 by the Kingston Trio. Now, the song was written for one of the members of the Kingston Trio, Bob Shane, by a songwriter, Ervin Drake. And Ervin just kind of wanted to put together a song for Bob and the rest of the band. Now, the Kingston Trio was, at the time, they made their last album with the original lineup, which was Dave Guard and Nick Reynolds, along with Bob Shane, in 1961, called Going, forget. Anyway, and then Dave left the band and went off to pursue other things, and they replaced him with John Stewart. Now, we've got some John Stewart songs up here and things, and they hung around for another 6 or 7 years before folk music really kind of went south. And anyway, but Ervin wrote the tune, and there's a lot of fascinating things about this. I'll get to some good trivia questions about the song in just a minute. Not trivia, but theory questions, because that's something else we're going to talk about. Wrote the song, and then the Kingston Trio recorded it, and a few years later, Sinatra heard it on the radio when he was driving home to Southern California, further Southern California, from L.A., where he would record stuff, down into the San Diego area where he lived. And it impressed him so much that he stopped, got to a payphone, called his arranger, Gordon Jenkins, and said, hey, we got to do this song, and we need strings, and we need a really spooky sounding instrument. Let's get an oboe or something. Let's start with a chord that has an unusual note in it. It's a minor ninth. The melody note is the ninth of the chord. And anyway, it became a huge hit in '65 then for Frank, and has sort of been, it's a standard nowadays. Now the progression is really unusual. There aren't a lot of chords in it, but it hints at many different modes. At least 4, maybe 5, if you count one particular chord that happens in a little interlude. And so I'll have a whole breakdown of the modes that I feel are used in this, and but I'll give you a couple hints. The first 2 chords are D minor and E flat. Really unusual sound. D minor to E flat. That, and the whole thing revolves around the note D. So every one of the modes we talk about has D as its home note. So you can this will be the puzzle that I'll help unravel later, but you could be working on this. What mode would have D minor and E flat in it, and then another mode later on that would have D major and C in it, a mode that happens earlier that goes from D minor to A7. That's what happens in the intro. Anyway, let's see, is there another one I want to talk about? Let me double check my notes. I believe not really. Yeah, so okay, we'll break that down though later. 4 or 5 different modes that happen in this tune. But what we're mostly going to look at is a finger-picking accompaniment that makes it totally reasonable for somebody to just keep this pattern going. Very simple arpeggio that was played in the Kingston Trio version. There we go. And even some wrong bass notes. Okay, we're going to break this down coming up over the next couple of segments in this lesson on It Was a Very Good Year.